There we are. Getting everything together. Got the music going. Man, yesterday was a difficult one. I'm looking for something on the side here, and I thought, let's go. I don't know. Put things down, and then I can't find them. You guys have the same thing? Put things down, you can't find them? I'm going to lift you guys in the air. Oh, well, I guess it wasn't that important. All's good and love in the world. Wow. Sort of. Is that things all good and love in the war? Well, we'll see. We're going to take a look at the astrology today. I'm going to go over a little bit of what I wanted to cover yesterday, but I really didn't get a chance to. I got my lipstick, got to put that on. And there's a guy cleaning our furnace right now, so our dog's really going wacko and trying to keep her quiet, which is a real bitch, just have to say. So, couple things to letting people know that my reading prices have gone up. I've officially done that, and they're $200. And the other thing I wanted to say, and I wrote this out in my put it out in my blog, is that the Labor Day sale is over. So if you're booking an appointment and you're wanting to book an appointment now, it's $200. Okay. I had it up. I've had it there. I let a lot of people know. And I know a few people were trying to well, I want to book an appointment now. If you wanted that sale, and this is how it works when you work in sales, you buy it that day, and then you could have booked whenever you want it to, right? Okay. But now they're $200. The next thing I want to let people know is that my moon readings, if you're buying one moon reading, they're $50 now. The reason everything is going up. Yes. The other thing is that moon readings do take me some time. I do go over your chart. I do look at your chart. I do look into the information. And that's why I only take so many people. And because if I had to do, let's say, 50 of them or 20 of them, it would take me a hell of a long time to do everybody's chart and really give you that reading, because I do them within about 15 minutes, right? To give you all of that information. It's amazing how much information I can give you in 15 minutes when it comes to your chart. So those went up to $50. Now, to let people know that there's 8 moon readings left for the rest of the year. And those 8 moon readings, we I put them $200. So that's 50% off. And we are heading into some cray energy, and we're heading into a Mars retrograde. So let's get into some of the nuttiness that is happening right now and what's going on. And one of the biggest things that I'm going to tell people is that you got to be organized. And you might be feeling a little overwhelmed by this all, and the energy that's coming in, especially with Mars slowing down in Cancer. And that's a big one. Mars is slow because Mars doesn't like Cancer. And this Mars is he's hitting my moon, and then he's going to hit my ascendant. So, if you have aspects in Cancer, or if you have aspects, which a lot of you do, in Capricorn, then Mars is going to be that opposition to that. So you might be feeling this a little bit more heightened. The other thing is that if you have any, when we're looking at any cardinal signs, so if you have aspects in Libra or Aries, and right now we're going through a lot of we have Chiron in Aries, we have the North Node in Aries. And so if you have other things in Aries or in Libra, you will be feeling a lot of this Mars coming in, and this Mars, because Mars will be squaring that those energies to that. So this is where to start looking at how you're getting organized, because then we also have Pluto. So Pluto's in an, coming into an opposition with it all. So, and Pluto being at the 29th degree of Capricorn, it's a heavy degree. It's the last degree of the sign, and this is the last time we're going to have them there forever. And this is where you start to really look at what has been going on in the last 16 years of your life. And this is where you're going to be finding that it might be a lot or overwhelming, or it might be nostalgia and you're wanting to keep certain things. Roxy, stop it. And then she looks at me and she'll bark again. So this is where we are starting to get into some really crazy things. Now, with Mars in Cancer, it's a very it can be very negative. And the North Node coming in, I know she's going to drive me is deposits Mars. And what that means is that Mars rules Aries. So Aries is a square over to where Mars is. And so Mars would rather be in Aries than be in Cancer and stuff. So this comes into being causing some, how we're thinking, our passion, how we're feeling secure and wanting to get to the bottom of things. The other thing is that it's in a Ceci quadrant, which is a really weird kind of angle to both Pluto and the sun's in a Ceci quadrant to Pluto. So that makes it kind of weird. So there's a really weird aspects that are coming in that are feeling a little bit off, making us not feeling, like we're not getting anywhere. And then again, we want to go back to the nostalgia. We want to go back to the way it was. And this is really getting us to look at, okay, what wasn't working in the last 16 years that you are still hanging on to that you need to let go of? What are the routines? And now you got to think of what Capricorn does, right? So Cancer wants security. They want to feel secure. They want to feel like, the bottom isn't falling out in their life. Capricorn's the one about the structures. We want to bring in those structures. What do those structures look like? What do they feel like? Are these structures the ones that are working? Now, oops, sorry. Sorry, guys. Oh, there's a lot of stuff coming in here. I just was trying to get it off my Instagram. So we want to make sure things are feeling, there we go. Got those. Secure. Just 1 second. Roxy, stop. Get over here. Roxy. Excuse me. Roxy. When she barks, cover her mouth. He stoops, but then he complains that the dog is barking. So I just love it. So Pluto is the weird one. It's bringing in these weird things that we need to really look at and that we haven't looked at for the last while, or we just sort of been nonchalantly going through it. The other piece to the puzzle here is that we have a lot of aspects in Venus, or a lot of aspects with Venus in Libra. So Libra is the one about relationships, wanting to, and relationships on all levels, how those relationships are. Now with Venus there, she's also there with Lilith. She's also there with Juno, and Juno is making aspects over to Jupiter. Now Jupiter and Juno are married. Now you might think that's just the wife of Jupiter, but it's also his sister. So it's kind of a really fucked up dynamic of that. Plus Juno is the queen of the gods, right? So she allows for certain things to go on to keep her status, right? So she allows for things to happen just to keep her status. Now, we also have not only there, we have Eros. Eros is in there. And, this is where, and especially with Lilith and Eros together, it's almost when you want a relationship just to have a relationship. You want this just because. But if you're trying to start something that's new, and then especially with Mars that is slowing down and will be going retrograde by the end of the year, this is where things can get very murky. very muddy. This isn't a time to really start into a brand new relationship unless, well, I'm going to say no. And this isn't a time where you just leave a relationship just because you're just like, oh, there's something greener over on the other pasture. That's, it's not going to work. Or somebody comes in from the past and you're thinking, oh, they've changed. They're so much better now. Not. So this is where a lot of things, and we got to make things, straight. And the interesting is that we're going to be finding that we have to make like pivots or tweaking. We're going to really have to make tweaking with things, because emotions are going to be feeling unfair. We're going to feel like this isn't fair. We're going to feel like this isn't justified. This isn't right. This isn't what we should be doing, right? And this is as bad as the kids screaming last night. Come here. Get over here. Get over here. Now. Sit down. So, she's going to have to stay on my lap for a minute. She looks scared, but she's not. She's a little you-know-what. Okay. So this is like really, when it comes to the emotions, it's going to be tough love, right? And bringing that tough love. Now, this is where the emotions come in, because you got to be tough love on yourself. Now, if you're not going to be kind to yourself, if you're not going to take that into consideration, what you're going to find is that you're going to go out into the abyss. You're going to find yourself in waters that you don't want to be in. So this is really about going with the rhythm and making and doing the minor tweaks that you need to make within your own self. So this is really a lot about self-awareness. Now, if you're finding that difficult, get a psychologist if you can get in, or try and get the counseling that you need. Now, the thing is that's going to be one of the biggest things, finding, having somebody to help you or guide you is probably going to be a benefit to you. And it's not a detriment. It's not saying that, I'm getting this help and it makes me less than a person. No, it doesn't. It's just going to help you in the long run. So you got to go with the rhythm. There's going to be these winds that are going to come in, and these winds that are going to come in are really going to help you to move along. You might not think they're strong winds. You might not think it's going to get you to where you want to go, but they will. They are going to take you on this course. You just have to work with it. And that's going to be so, so important, because the Virgo is about keeping the rhythm. So with this Virgo sun, it's about keeping the rhythm, getting things moving, and just slow and steady wins the race. So the last 5 or 6 weeks, brings you to these moments, right? So we got to get to one step at a time and doing these one steps at a time. And the task might seem like there's 15 steps and you're like, how the hell am I going to get over there? It doesn't make sense. This isn't what I really want to be doing. Then you're going to find that, well, if I do this step, okay, this step, you're going to, it's those little steps that are going to take you to where you need to go. And patience is the key. Patience is really, because it's not only within ourselves, these are at the latter degrees. So this is on world events. So there's a lot of tweaking and a lot of craziness that you're going to be seeing within the world events. Now, the one big thing is that many times we are looking for the leaders. We're looking for the king to step in and say, like, aren't you doing anything about the UK right now? Like, you're looking for these others for the guidance, or for some kind of guidance, but that's not where the guidance is. And that's where the astrology is telling you there is a higher guidance that you are to be following. And that is that spiritual, that is that God, that universal, or whoever you want to call it, that divine, that you need to be following. It is a higher one than yourself, and then those who are saying that they are the leaders. Because if you're starting to go with that, you're going to get lost again. Because there's going to be so much when it comes to illusions, propaganda that are going to be coming in. We are just seeing it right now when they just took two well-known YouTube, social media newscasters. One is Tim Pool, I can't remember the other one. And they're starting to throw them under the bus. Why? Well, they don't, they question everything. You know, they question what's going on. They question, you know, Kamala Harris and whoever else. So when you start to really come out and be that objective, this is where you really have to stand in your integrity. This is where you have to stand in the place where who you are. Because even though you may not be the top YouTuber or whatever you think, but you are going to be tested in many ways in your life in having to stay to your truth. Okay? And this is where the astrology's at. This is where the astrology is saying this is what you have to be doing now. Not tomorrow, not the next day. This has been leading up with Pluto coming back into Capricorn and getting you to really look at the things that you need to look at and taking that responsibility. And with Jupiter in Gemini, you keep looking for more opportunities. You're finding the facts. You're allowing that. Jupiter says, find the facts. This isn't emotional. Don't get over emotional about it. You know, this is about you looking at the things that you need to look at and keeping track along the way, bit by bit, moment by moment, instead of trying to look at the whole thing and the whole thing that needs to be done. It's a bit by bit and moment by moment that you have to do it, and not getting yourself overwhelmed. If you're getting yourself overwhelmed and it's getting too much, hey, that's part of my job. You can book a reading. You can get the 8 mini readings that you want. It's up to you. Or you can go and you can try and get into a psychologist, get into somebody who can help you in other ways. I'm stressing that because where Pluto is, where Neptune is, and where Saturn is, and Saturn's coming in and coming into being the ruler of the charts right now, it's going to be tough because Saturn and Pluto say you stay on this sidewalk and things are going to be fine. You go over to that sidewalk and you're going to follow that over there, you're going to find yourself lost. You're going to find yourself distracted. You're going to find yourself in a place that you didn't want to go. And so it's so important because things are volatile. They're going to be coming to more extremes. I said September is going to be a very extreme month. Don't go barking. She goes barking. So this is where the extremes are. She's not a light dog either. Just to have her, just a side note, she's a heavy dog to have on my lap. And plus, I'm a little bit round and having her on my lap is not comfortable. So just let her go. Anyways, so this is about a bit by bit. And with Mars in, what do you call it? Cancer, retrograde, it hasn't done this for 30 years. So this, and Mars usually takes 40 days to get through a sign. So today is to be aware of your emotional self. This is about fairness. This is about balance. This is about tweaking things. And there's no energy in Aquarius. So thinking one thing is going to be happy, we need to tweak it. We need to allow for ourselves to be pivoting. And it's going to be a lot to do. So this is like, don't get emotional. And especially since Jupiter is coming over and coming up to 21 degrees. It's 19 degrees. It's only going to go up to 21 degrees and then it's going to retrograde. And retrograde in Gemini. So that's going to cause, the mind fucks, the, oh my God, look at this, trying to figure things out. Now, the thing is that when Jupiter goes into Gemini with where Aquarius is, those are the points where the United States did really enter into the war, coming out and going into the war. And when you have things like with Mars being retrograde in Cancer, the emotional points, the pivoting points that are coming in, that is really getting people to, especially when you're looking at the world axis, where those who are in it right now, who are only in it for a short time, let's say the 4-year, 5-year terms, they don't look at it for the long term. The ones that have been in power for a long, 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 long time, they don't give a shit who gets in. They really don't. But they're very good at making division. They're very good at causing emotional damage. My grandson can say that very well. They're very good at doing that. They're very good at causing people to react, right? So this is so important that we're not getting triggered because of the volatile extremes that are coming in. And also where Venus is in Libra, she's home. She wants to be passionate. She wants to look good. She wants to wear the best lipstick and, and put on the Coco Chanel and the Louis Vuitton and look extravagant. And it's all of this fake stuff and not coming into the reality. It's all about, I need to feel good. So it's the quick fix. And that's what you're going to find. I need the quick fix. I need this. It's like going out, charging up your Visa or your MasterCard or whatever, or emptying your account because I need the quick fix. This is where people go to Vegas and bet it all. Seriously. They go and they bet it all. This is when, where they find the man who you think has it all, but he's like, I need something better. And he goes to Vegas and he bets everything and he loses everything. So this is really walking that tightrope and understanding that it's just like, okay, you might think that's going to be better for you. You might think that's going to be the best thing for you, right? Because it just looks better. It's just the next best thing. Yet it's going to be the most detrimental thing that you've ever done in your life. So this is really, watching those illusions, going back into past lives. This is where people start freaking out. Oh, I got to know what's happening. What did I do in we must have had a past life together. Yeah. Or this past life is going to fix this life. No, that's done. That life is done. And that's coming into the realization that life is done. I have to work on this life. There's things in this life I need to work on. I need to create. I need to have to bring forth more of the abundance and the love and the joy I want to bring. And in doing that, I have to create some kind of strong base. What is that strong base? A spiritual base, a physical base. What are you doing for yourself physically? Are you exercising? Are you getting out? Or are you complaining that, oh, I'm too fat? Or my, I could say it. I went to physio yesterday and I'm just like, oh my God, I could have, not gone to work or whatever. I made an excuse or say, oh, my ankles are swollen. Oh, I'm swollen. Oh, I'm this. What are you doing to change it? What are the tweaks you doing to make those changes happen? And that could be drinking more water, adding cucumber to water. That could be maybe going for that walk, getting up early, taking the dog for a walk. That's what I've been doing for the last week. Doing these things helps you to gain more clarity, gain more of a grounding, helping you to really center yourself into doing prayer. It's amazing what I find when I'm going on a walk and I am doing what I call prayer walks with my dog. And that could be in many different forms and how you would like to choose it. It's really cool. And you feel more refreshed and you're just like, oh my God. It's like a 30-minute walk just went by in a few minutes because you're just coming into a contemplation of doing prayer walks. So very powerful thing to do. And it's very easy to do. So this is where it's like looking at things, and then it brings in where we are also entering into desperation. Desperation, as Mars is in Cancer, Pluto in Virgo. And this is where we have to learn, and I'm going to say it, you got to suck it up, buttercup. You got to suck some things up and just not think, oh, woe is me. I was having a great talk with my girlfriend yesterday, and we are talking about her son. She's like, this generation. She has a young son. And she's like, this generation, right? And what that generation is. This generation is like, oh, you're doing emotional damage on me, Mom. You should have thought about my feelings. I'm just asking you questions, but you're getting offended because I'm asking you questions. You're getting offended because I'm asking you to own your feelings, but because you didn't say it in the right way. That's how I think the generation sounds. If you don't say it in the right way, if you don't say the way that they want you to say it, they get offended. Well, this energy is coming in. It's like, as I say, this is toughening people up. This is getting people to be tougher. This is getting people to really look at what they need to be doing in their life and taking that responsibility. This Mars retrograde that's coming up, it's harsh, man. It is fucking harsh. It's not easy. And it is really getting us to look at it. And with Chiron in Aries and Saturn in Pisces, with Neptune there, this is like, whoa, we could really wallow in things, and Chiron can say, oh, look at those wounds, and we're like, oh yes, those wounds are so bad, and we could just get into that wallowing instead of saying, yeah, I got some really dark shadows I need to work on. How am I working on them? Am I trying to work on them myself, or am I getting the help I need to work on these? Right? And that's so important, because this is also about how am I creating the positive effects I need to have in my life. So just a moment. Cynthia asked me a question. Yes, I'm working later this afternoon. So this is what we need to start looking at. And we can't really look in, looking at my writing, I can't understand, but the anger, and have that anger. It's a responsibility. And this is looking at more of the blessings. And sometimes the blessings might be, or the curse might not look like a blessing, but it is a blessing. We might think this is a worst thing that could happen, but in the end, it's a blessing. Right? So, and thinking nothing's going my way, and you want it to go this way, and you're banging your head on the wall. And this is saying, hey, it's not going to go that way. There's another way of looking at this. And you're like, oh, that's so hard. It's like all of those people that's taking Opectic, I think that's what it's called. Anyways, the drug for losing weight. They don't understand the damage it is doing on their body, especially if you're not diabetic, but you're taking it to lose weight. Right? And you're like, okay, now they're finding out, like, oh, it's causing intestinal problems, backup, all kind, leaky gut and all kinds of things, right? So it's like, I want the quick fix. I need to have it now. But what it's going to do for you in the long run is going to be worse. So this is where you're going to find those little carrots hanging down, and it's like, oh, that's the best carrot. Oh, that's the best carrot. Or, you think that this is like the best. Oh, look at there's going to be this grove of fruit that's going to hang down. You're going to think it's the best thing. And it's not even bearing fruit. There's nothing there. So this is like looking at things, because it is a steep cliff, and nobody wants to go up a steep cliff. Nobody wants to do that. We want the fucking easy route. That's when you see in movies, when they say, oh, I don't want to go through that. And they're like, that's the only way through. No, we need to go this way. And you're like, no, don't do that. Because we know every time they don't go the way that they're supposed to go, or take that difficult route, it ends up being more difficult, or something crazy happens, right? So this is very important for us to do that. And Saturn is going to amplify it. It's going to make it just even more, crazier than what it should be. And with Pluto coming back into Capricorn, saying, hey, remember us too? Remember? We're the Mafia brothers. Hey, you really want to take that road? You really want to do that shit? Well, fuck. You know what? Go for it. Go for it. But hey, Neptune's over there and he'll bring you all the illusions, he'll bring you all the craziness that you want to have. You want to have that that so-called epiphany, that so-called he's got a drug for that for you, baby. So you got to really get down and get spiritual. You got to really come down and get into the body and get into where Jupiter is in Gemini and really look at, okay, no, these are the plans that we are going to do. Because Mercury in Cancer, and people who have Mercury in Cancer, it's a crazy place for Mercury to be. It is. I have Venus in Scorpio, and Venus in Scorpio she's not happy there. It's a harsh place for Venus to be. Venus is very, she just wants to get out. She just doesn't, she's, where everybody's, thinks that, oh, Scorpios are all this. But with Venus being there, Venus and Scorpio is like, very like, I don't want to be touched. I don't want to be handled, because we can get that feeling of, and forgive me for saying this, but the slimy guys that just, oh, baby, I love you, I want to touch you, blah, 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 blah. Venus is like, ah! Stay away from me. Don't touch me. Let me out of here. So Venus can be very, like, I don't want to have, and sometimes be very unemotional, detached from her emotions. And that's a Venus in Scorpio. So for me, has been a real learning how to come into my emotions, learning how to deal with my emotions. And you know what? It ain't easy. It ain't easy, baby. I can deal very easy with other people's emotions, other people's shit. But when it comes to my own, Pluto and Capricorn's teaching me that now. Pluto and Capricorn's really getting me to look at that now. And that's why it's really important to know your chart to understand that. And and then having Mars across the street is just like, oh shit, right? I really got to look at this crap. I really got to feel this stuff. So this is planning, this is patience, seeing the positive and looking for the positive, right? So it could be like, oh, I just feel a pile of shit all around me. Look for the daisy that's coming up in the pile of shit. Look for the sun rising. Tonight, just after sunset and the moon rises, and I think I wrote when the moon is rising tonight. The moon rises tonight here in Calgary. So you got to look for your time. So the moon rise, the moon sets. So about just before 8:55, the moon sets. So, and the sun is setting at 8:11. So just after the sun sets at about 8:11, you're going to see the moon on the horizon, because the moon is in Libra and so is Venus. And you're going to see this beautiful crescent moon with Venus there. Very rare sight. It's beautiful. So make sure that you take a look at that. So this is one of the reasons why I post that up on my Facebook, because when you are aware of when the moon and when the sun is rising and setting, and you start to really pay attention to the sky, to how the movements are going around you, and giving you sort of a sense of the movement and the ebb and the flow of the astrological energies that are going on. So here it is. This is testing those who don't fall for tricks. So being aware of any tricks that are being played on you. This is where I just friends, I think it was her brother or somebody, and he's, fell for some scam, lost all his money. This is where even Dan from I Allegedly, who I listened to on YouTube, was talking about all these scams that are coming up, and they're coming up quick, and they're not just, some kid in a basement. These are well thought up scams that are taking people for hundreds of thousands of dollars, like just draining people's bank accounts. And it just, some of them seem, you might think they're obvious, but they may have not have been obvious to that person. That's why they're called a scam. But just being aware, because this is, looking at the things that might trick you, might take you off course. It might seem like the best thing. The next, in the biggest one I've seen within the spiritual community, all of a sudden there's all of these courses that are coming out for people, like shaman courses, courses on, oh, look at I look at me, I know about menopause. I'm just like, who the fuck are you? And you look at them, and if you do any sort of research, it's like they haven't really been around for a very long time. They might have taken a course. They really haven't, they've just gone on Chat GBT and wrote out a course. That's what they did. So there's a lot of ones that are coming out in the spiritual world, and that's where you really have to go by your intellect, right? And really, okay, this person doesn't seem very good, but I see them everywhere. I see them everywhere, so they must be good, right? I see them on, oh, they're coming up on Facebook ads. I see them on TikTok. I see them on Instagram. So they must be really good, right? That's part of this, part of being the trickster. The trickster is coming in and looking at, what are you being tricked at? What are you being called into? And it might seem like the best thing in the world. And they'll tell you that they just, oh, this is the best thing in the world. And they don't know anything. Or they just deliver you a little bit or somewhat of something, but they don't give you the real meat and potatoes of everything, because they haven't really done the work, right? And that's the other part. Finding people who've done the work, who've been around, right? And who are really authentic with what they are doing and how they are living. And that's a huge piece, right? There's a lot of new astrologers that are coming out, and they're just like, yeah, it's so great. And when I talk to them, I'm like, yeah, they know things. They're good. They know things, but they might, when it comes to really understanding, say, what does it mean to have Cancer and Mars together? What does it mean when Mars is in Cancer? Oh, well, yeah, it could bring in some emotions, but we'll get through it. I'm like, oh, really? Okay, but it's in an opposition to Pluto, and Pluto challenges you. And Pluto likes to take a layer after layer after layer after layer after layer after layer. Hence, it's been, as soon as it comes, after it comes out of Libra and goes into, when Pluto started to come out of Libra, and the way it rotates, right? So as it comes out of Libra, it starts to descend into the underground. The only reason why Pluto was found in Gemini was because it was just in a spot. It was in the brightness, right? It was above. And then after that, it started to descend into the underground, where you can't see, it's very difficult to see it because it's in the underground. And in the underground, you got to think of that time in the world, in world history, when Pluto was in those areas. It was a time of deceit and dissent. And it was a time of upheaval and change, and a change in the way and the structures of the way that we live, in the way that we are, have our rulers and have our kings and our queens. So it brings in these dramatic changes before he can come up, and you can really see him again, which won't be for quite some time. It takes 248 years for him to go around the sun, right? So he's at the furthest he's ever been, right? So this is where we are restructuring our lives. So all of these different aspects that come in with the astrology are getting us to really hone in on our truth, hone in on our reality, hone in what we know that is true for us, and know that there's something greater on the other side. Knowing that there's something there, but we have to do the work. We have to go up the steep hill. We have to do that and stop feeding into what is denial. This is a foundation. This is family, personal emotion. Mateus is home today. Now the dog is seeing Mateus, and now she's got to tell Mateus there's people outside. Come look, look, Mateus, look. There's people everywhere working outside. So life, and there's a lot of sensitive people out there, and so doing the work to find out is very important. It's very important with all of this. And we are in this craziness. We're in these frequencies for 7 months. till April of next year. So this is a deep dive. This is a deeper dive than what we really want to do at times, but this is really an extremely deep dive. This is where we're finding that, looking at the things that we need to do. Now, the outer planets are really getting us to come into our subconscious. This is where we are coming in and where we need to build. Yes. Isn't he in the bedroom? Or he might have gone outside to talk to the landlord because he's outside working. So this is dealing with the subconscious and how to face it. And this is, with the outer planets, this is where, finding us to look at that. And so there's no escaping the BS. And this is where, when it comes to our neurotic ways, watching our neurotic ways, watching the ways that we do things. Yes, you may go on the phone. Okay. And this is the way that we need to look at things. And the sun and Mars are, they're in sort of this mutual reception of where Mars is still in Leo and the sun is in Virgo, and they would love to change because they both rule those signs, right? So they're in this, there's a harmonic energy that's coming in, but we have to work at it. We have to really adjust ourselves. And sometimes it doesn't look as clear as what we would like it to look. Right. So this is really looking at, our heart, really looking in. This will, thinking that, this is going to make us happy, but really taking an objective view is saying, yeah, it's only going to make me happy for a little bit. It's not going to really give me any substance in the long run, and what that looks like. So weird distractions, looking at sticking to the facts. Our emotions are going to be drifting. And we need to take comfort, finding where that comfort, and where things, again, where things to lead us to something, is this leading me to the right place? Is this leading me to the place that I need to go to? And with Mars, again, slowing down, it's going to bring in some craziness. And we also have a square with Mercury and Uranus. So surprises are going to be coming up. Pay attention to them. Some are going to be good, some aren't going to be good. Or that's, we really have to pay attention to the different things that come up. One of the surprises that I thought I'd be able to work 2 jobs. Unfortunately, I can't. I got to give up my job at the complex. So Friday's my last day. So I got to stick to the one job. My thoughts were like, yeah, if I have this 2 jobs, it's really going to help us, right? In many ways. But you know what? I got to trust. I got to put and do what I've been doing, and keeping the positive momentum, whatever, going, and doing what I'm doing, doing my prayer walks, making sure that I've been, I'm going to be 190 days tomorrow. I'm studying the Bible and understanding. And I think for everybody, understand these different books. I know a lot of pagans are like, I don't study that. I only believe in this. I'm like, no, study that. Even look into the Quran. Look into these different books. It's education. You may not agree with everything that's in there. You might find it's kind of like, whoa, they were really fucked up in the Old Testament and the shit that they did and some of the stuff that they did. And you're just like, whoa, that's why I'm doing it in a group so people can explain it to me, because I'm just like, that guy was an asshole. That king was a jerk, because there's a lot of jerky kings there, right? But finding that, people adjusted. People, the ones that stayed the course, how their life became better, right? And staying the course in the positive things. So we're finding that. So think they found, the newest thing, it's going to fizzle out. Thinking this is the new best thing, this is the greatest thing since whatever, it's going to fizzle out. And you're going to find that within the spiritual world too. You're going to find a lot of people coming out and they seem like the next best, shiny, bright, cool thing. And then they're gone. They fizzled out. They couldn't stay the course, right? Because y'all know, being a spiritualist, doing this work isn't easy. There's challenges. There's ups and downs, and people who followed my my own life, who followed my people are like, as Virginia said to me, she goes, "You need a break. Like, how much shit happens to you in your life, man?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but one, I know my chart. I understand my chart. I've come in here to clear a lot of karma in my chart. Some of it I've been okay with. Other parts have been really shitty at clearing, and it just pops up again. But it's understanding the ebbs and flows, and knowing that there is a higher source, knowing that there is something higher than me, and stepping into that, right? And knowing that this is what I need to do. So one of the biggest things that came forth for me, as you all know, because I was going to do some courses, and that just kept being put off. I've learned to listen to my intuition when it says, no, this isn't a good thing for you to be doing right now. You're not going to be teaching courses right now. You won't be able to teach courses right now. Well, lo and behold, I'm not teaching courses because I ended up getting a full-time job, which I needed, because for whatever reason, with the spiritual work and doing the spiritual work, it isn't as steady as what I'd like it to be. It's not fulfilling that steadiness, right? And that's so important. If you want a booking, you DM me, they're $200. Okay. I'm not doing any readings online here. So this is where having that understanding is so, so important. And this is where, when you start paying attention to these things, and especially where Mars is and squaring over to Uranus, this is really bringing in some erraticness, because that's what Uranus does. And Uranus is retrograde, Pluto's retrograde, Saturn is retrograde, Jupiter's going to be going retrograde soon, Mars is going to be going retrograde by the end of the year. We're going to be in retrograde season as we're heading into 2025. So this is now, get your shit together. Look at the shit that you need to get together. Pluto's being the last hurrah. He's only going to be there for 2 months, not even 2.5 months before he heads back into Aquarius. And then it's going to be harder if you're trying to build something and put structures in there than what it is with Pluto in Capricorn, because it helps you to get those structures. Relationships, look at how loaded they are. This is where things are going to be fizzling out. And this, when I looked at it, and the Leo King was even saying this, he said, this is a chart the evil queen is born under. This is a chart that especially where Mercury's slowing down and is in Cancer. This is where, because the thing is with Mercury in Cancer, and I know some of my people are Mercury with Cancer, but this is about owning, like, it's always about my feelings. So if you look at the evil queen, it's like my feelings. How do I feel? And really running on their own ego. And this is where this astrology is. It's about, it's getting you accountable for your feelings and really watching how your ego's running, and not going crazy about, oh, it's got to be this way because, it makes me feel better, right? So this is about owning your feelings. And this is where it is where people, when you look at different charts, or you wonder why certain, especially when if you look at different stars and stuff like that, famous people, and you're like, they die suddenly, and you're looking at their chart and you're just like, well, I can't see why, what was going on in their life. But then you look at who they were having a relationship, or who the people that were very close to them at that time. And a lot of times, not always, but they were with somebody with a Mars retrograde in Cancer, which is really weird. And that's bringing people on their destiny. So when you have a Mars retrograde in Cancer, when people have that, it's you see that where whoever they're having a relationship with, their path doesn't become their own. Their path becomes that of their partners. And it's kind of a weird thing where if there's a death path there, it goes on to their partner. Really freaky to see that. But it's looking at that. And this is where also where vanity can come in, and the craziness with vanity. So seeing the reality, being in that positive place is, and working at it. And, if you're getting emotionally charged over shit, you're going to find it's just going to bite you in the butt. Just saying, it's going to bite you in the butt big time, big time. So the other part too, and I know there's a psychic medium here. I don't know if she's here anymore. But my thing, or the thing that I have noticed, and I've been doing this work for a long time, is those who are doing any mediumship have to be extremely careful. And I'm putting the warning out now to a lot of them, and especially the newbies that are coming in. It's where you're going to find, because there's a lot of crossing of lines that are coming in. So who you think you're channeling, or who you think is coming in, isn't necessarily the truth. So being very aware of and being very careful in how you are channeling, if or bringing through the different energies, or bringing through the information to people. Because not only is there going to be, the amount of deaths are going to be extreme that we're going to be entering into, and with that, there is also a great number of evil that's going to be coming in there as well. So just being aware of that, especially to many of you who do mediumship. I do mediumship. I'm not advertising that as much, because I'm really into my astrology and understanding the astrology. Allowing, when different entities do come through, really allowing myself to understand that entity before bringing that forward to somebody, or doing it, or doing any channeling. That's why I used to channel Pleiadians, and then they said, you don't need to channel anymore right now. And so that channeling, sort of, not saying that they're not there, they're there, but they're not, they know that there's a lot of other, it's almost like, how do I explain it? It's almost like, at night, when, if anybody had a radio when they were younger, and at nighttime, the airways, you could pick up different channels and stuff like that on the airways. It was really cool. So you could be living in, like I lived in Penticton. I picked up a radio station from LA. I used to be able to pick up this really cool rock station from LA at night. And that was so cool, but that's kind of the same way within the channeling right now. It's like you can pick up different airways, and they might sound really cool, but are they? So you have to have the discernment, is very important at this time. And there is a really good medium who's on TikTok and stuff. Her name is Shauna. She's very good. She's really good. I don't recommend too many people, but I recommend her. She's she knows what she's doing. There she goes. There goes my dog. I think I just lost a lot of people by saying that. Again. Mama says shit, and then people are just like, what? So yeah, conflict. The conflict's there. So really pay attention to the conflict. Pay attention to what's coming in for you. And it can bring in a lot of, topsy-turvy, different type of energy, and really trigger your passions, really trigger the things, that are going on. You look so frustrated. I look frustrated. Oh, the dog's barking. It's probably why I'm frustrated. But looking at the different aspects to that, right? So what are those frustrations that are coming in, and what's happening and stuff? So if I'm looking frustrated, I don't know what I'm frustrated about, but anyways. But understanding that that's, yes, because of the dog. I know. This is, I love her, but this is one of the reasons why I did not want a dog. Because of the frustrations the dog causes and stuff. So it's just one of those things. So this is where you got to be looking at where you might be reluctant in how you talk, in what you say, in how you express yourself. This is where the independence, in order to feel good again. Looking at where you can regain the peace. Where can you find the peace? Where you can find the tranquility. And she's like, Roxy, Roxy. Roxy, Roxy. What are you doing? What are you doing? You want up here? Come on. Come on. Come on. There we go. There she is. There she is. I know. I know. You want it like that? Okay. All right. Got to pick another card. I know. Okay. And yeah, passion being blocked. So looking at where you're being blocked, where's that passion being blocked? And what that looks like. This is really, she's very protective of me. So she doesn't like it when other people hug me or come close to me. She gets angry with them, or she tries to break in, right? So she's been tolerant of my daughter and of my grandson. And she really likes Mateus. So, but knowing that with this, with the Ace of Wands, there's going to be delays. There's going to be things that are going to be, they're not going to, it's going to be very, trying to go forward and you forgot to push the clutch, right? You're pushing your foot on the accelerator and you needed to push in the clutch, but you forgot to push the clutch in. So you're going to be like, whoa, 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 and stalling. So what makes you blissful, happy in your life? Looking at the things that are really good in your life, that are working, and look at the things that haven't been looking, that have been those obstructions. That's really important to do. So you can, do those movements and do those forward movements. So there you go. A little bit of craziness out there, people. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. People are going to be going through some really crazy energies. You're going to find a lot of people getting sick right now too. So just understand and allow for the healings to happen. And the other part too is like it's coming to a point where, and this is going to be hard, everybody goes off, oh well, they're sick, they got the elixir. It's almost where that's kind of like a side note right now, because a lot of people who are going to be getting sick, it won't matter with that. So be kind to one another, and be kind to how you're feeling is really going to be an important piece. So sending you guys out so much love. May the Lord and Lady watch over and bless you in all that you say and all you be. And if you're interested in my sale, let me know. And next full moon is not far away. So have a blessed one, everybody. And thank you so much for joining me and being a part of my community. God bless. Bye-bye.